Okay, so what I have here is a Singer Stitch and Sew 600 series, this is a quick video on how to clean it because I have not found a great video on YouTube yet. So I just decided to make one, and this is going to be a very quick overview. I'm not going to actually clean it. I'm just going to show how to take it apart and what to pay attention to. There are a couple things you need. I have some of them out, the rest I'll just tell you. I have my sewing machine maintenance kit, which has all the screwdrivers I need, and it has machine oil, which is quite important. I've read some things of different oils that people have used, and I've also read that can be terrible. So I won't ever use anything besides actual machine oil. Another thing I have is a pipe cleaner. When I'm actually cleaning my machine, I use several, so I have plenty on hand. And then we've also used just a little bit of alcohol, like rubbing alcohol, and either Q-tips or cotton balls, depending on what area you're cleaning. But if it's really greasy, that helps to break up some of the grease, and then just a dry cloth to wipe it out. So we're just going to start from the top down. So to take off this top part, you're going to pull out this screw, which I've already done. It may be, I've had a couple different of these, the screw may be in a slightly different location, but that's what you're going to look for. And then you're just going to shift it, push it to the left. So see, now it's off to the left now, and it just pulls straight off. And now you see the inner workings of the machine. So here is where I'm going to start with my pipe cleaner. And in any of these gears, a lot of times you'll find a lot of threads on, this is a little bit dark, on like any of these gears or stuck in the gears in here. Using this pipe cleaner to thread around and get that stuff out. Just make sure you're not leaving the pieces of the pipe cleaner, so that's why you may need to switch out every bit. And then this is also where a lot of grease can end up, grease or the machine oil. So this is where you may want to be taking Q-tip, or maybe if you roll, like fold the pipe cleaner like this and dip it lightly in some rubbing alcohol, and then like sweep it on the inside here. So this is one of the easier parts because it's big and it's easy to get to, easy to see. And then you're also going to get down in here, which is where it gets a little bit harder to get in and around stuff. So you're going to want to pay attention to pulling out any gunk and threads and dust, anything like that that's in all of these gears here. Then once it's clean and dried out is when you're going to go back with your machine oil, which I would go through and clean the whole thing with the pipe cleaner first, or cloth or whatever you're using to wipe out, depending on how dirty it is, and then go back through the whole machine top to bottom with the oil. So I'm just going to tell you where to oil right now, but you don't want to do it till you're done cleaning out the whole thing. But really it's pretty simple. You're just paying attention to the gears. So you might want to drop a little bit of oil, I'll use my screwdriver to show, on this gear here. There's a gear in here. In and around this stuff, anything that there's, you can just turn and roll. Anything where there's a moving part, down in here, this rod that goes all the way across and it spins all the way across, so you may want to drop some oil. And then just kind of roll back and forth to work it through, give it some good solid turns. And the same over here. So if I'm moving it, there's a lot of moving parts in here, and this rod through the middle here in particular sometimes can get stuck, and then this back here. So just dropping any of these like joints or moving parts is where you don't want to oil too much, because especially in something like this, because it will drip down and it can get onto your fabric down here. So be very light. You don't need to go overboard, but your machine may also be really quite dirty where you're feeling it sticking, and you're going to just want to move it and walk through it, and just till it feels like it's moving really smooth. And I'm going to do a quick pause and flip, oops, nope. First I'm going to go down in here. So this is one of the trickiest parts because it's one of the smallest parts. This piece does come off. You can kind of gently tug on it, lift it up a little bit. It's a little bit tricky to get back on, which I'll show later, but it does come off. And then this part right here, this lifts up. It helps to do it with a screw sometimes. So you're going to get in here and you're just going to pop that up. So see that whole lever on the side there comes up, and you're going to pull it straight out to the left. So I'm pulling it up, and I'm just going to work it gently to the left, and that whole piece slides out, and it looks like this. That releases all of this bobbin area. So now I can pull out all of this, which I can't actually get with one hand, but it'll release all of this in here. This is where with the pipe cleaner, you're going to go in here and get all around. You want to thread it through. You want to get back down. It's back down in here. Look, I even just pulled out a piece of thread. Is where a lot of stuff gets stuck. So this may be all around here, and especially into the back where you can't see, it may be really dusty. And you'll get just kind of wads of dust in the thread. So this is where you need to take plenty of time in this area, because this, in this whole bobbin area, if this gets stuck up, it causes a lot of problems in stitching. They can do some oiling in here. Oh, there we go. I don't ever do a ton. There is moving parts, obviously, this turns. But bobbins can be kind of finicky, so unless this is feeling like it's really sticky and needs oiled, I don't tend to do a whole lot in there. And I'm going to do a quick pause, flip the machine over, and I'll come right back. So here we are looking at the underside of the machine. I have screwed off or unscrewed the bottom plate, and then I had mine in a case, so I had to take off the bottom of the case first. There's the top of the lid, and then taking off the bottom of the machine. And now in here you see all the bottom gears. So if I turn this, you can start to see all of the gears working. This is, again, easier like the top because it's big and open, and the gear, there's no small, really small joints in here. So it's the same deal, pretty simple. You're going to use your pipe cleaner and get in and around these tighter areas, pull out any gunk. It gets quite greasy down here also because a lot of stuff drips down here from like the upper workings of the machine, or down through this side here, because this is the underneath the bobbin all in here. So this is where you might want to spend a little bit more time with your Q-tips or a cloth and rubbing alcohol, and try to clean up just some of this, any gunk that you find in here. I also like to always wipe off the plate, but that's not necessary. Obviously that doesn't make a difference to the working of the machine. And then you're just going to oil. So there's lots of different joints in here. There's different gears, different rods that move or spin. So you're just going to dab. And this is really, the oil is quite, it's not thick. So you're really wanting to do just very small dabs and drops in these different places. This isn't going to be really heavy oil. And then work it through. And of course, as always, just feel. So you're going to be spinning, you're going to be working it through, feeling if you're getting out any stickiness, or if you are feeling stickiness, you can kind of start to troubleshoot of where you're feeling it and if there's certain parts that need oiled. And then of course the final test is put it all back together, pull out some thread and some material that you don't care about because it may take a little while for the oil to get through, so you may end up with a fairly greasy material. And you're just going to want to sew and work it through. And it's not just like a couple inches of stitch. You're going to want to sew a good amount, do some back and forth, try some different stitches if you have the different plates that you can put in the top for different stitches, so that you're getting the machine, you know, a zigzag, and you're also getting forward and reverse, and just test it out. And that's where you can also start to figure out some of the tension issues. If you have thread bunching, was that due to sticking in the machine that it really needs cleaned and serviced, or is that a tension issue that now you can start to adjust and troubleshoot? And that's where you might need to get into the bobbin tension, which I'll talk about when we put the top back together. So yeah, it's pretty simple. It takes a little bit, depending on how dirty your machine is. So when I first got this one, it hadn't been used in years and hadn't been serviced maybe never, and was filthy. And it took me over 2 hours to do this full pulling everything apart, clearing all the gunk out, re-oiling, sewing through, adjusting tension. It took a while to do the full service. If your machine is in good condition and clean, this may be just a maintenance thing, and it may take you pretty quick to go through. It may not even need oiled. You may just want to pull apart the bobbin part and maybe open the top to take your pipe cleaner in and clear out any thread gunk that's gotten caught in there, to keep your machine running well. So really doesn't have to be a lot of work. Take a lot of time if it's something that you do fairly consistently, or if you notice that your machine is starting to stick or thread bunch or anything like that. That's a signal that you may need to pull it apart and do a little bit of servicing. And of course, as always, there are professionals that do this, and so if you're having any problems that aren't fixed by just this kind of basic go through and cleaning and re-oiling, then you really may need to take it in to be serviced. That's pretty self-explanatory. And we're back now to put this bobbin area in place, which you remember I haven't taken a whole lot out. I've just pulled off these 2 pieces. You can get a little bit more of this out. I generally don't. It really just depends on if I'm able to get enough back in here with my pipe cleaner and get enough junk out, because it really does go back. Let's find a straight end of my pipe cleaner. There's some holes and stuff, so you can see how far I'm able to push this back down and really work it in around there. So I'm going back, and some of this you can get to from the bottom too, but this is where stuff really gets stuck. So it's just simple as just placing this back in, which of course is hard to do with one hand. There we go. And then this slides right back on here. Again, it's a little bit of wiggling, and then it just pops down. It latches in there. A quick note on bobbin tension. So if you're getting where threads is getting really caught and knotty underneath when you're sewing something, which has happened a few times, kind of regularly. It'll happen, it'll start happening regularly when I'm working on one of these machines. There's other tensions that you want to adjust first. And a simple one is, so if that's happening, you might be threading the machine with the foot down, which is what you don't want to do. So make sure you release this, pull out all of your thread from winding it all through here, pull it all out. Make sure the presser foot is up, and then re-thread and re-pull the bobbin thread through. And a lot of times that helps to fix the tension stuff. And then adjusting different thread tensions and stuff. If that isn't fixing the problem, you may have to adjust bobbin tension, which is this screw down here. This is tricky because it is like minuscule amounts really adjust it. So, basic screw, righty tighty, lefty loosey. If you're making the screw to the right a little tighter, the tension is tighter. If you're going to the left more loose, the tension is looser. So it just depends on how where your problem is. If it's catching and building up all on the bottom, it's probably too loose. Your bottom tension, so the bottom of the fabric underneath is your bobbin, is too loose, and you may need to tighten this screw up a little bit. It really is. Of course, I don't have my small screwdriver out, but your sewing machine or sewing repair kit does have the small screw, and it really is like minuscule amounts, and it's just, you have to play with it. Do a little bit, sew, see if it fixes. If it's not, do a little bit more, sew, and play with it. But be very gentle with this, and this is kind of a last resort because it is so tricky, but you really may need to do that. Then to get this flat plate piece back on, which really just takes some playing with, you see it has grooves down the sides, and then this plate here comes up. Just lifts up a little bit, and this is where a screwdriver can help, and honestly this helps with 2 people. So you're going to hold that up and then try to fit this. It's a little tricky with one hand, so we're not going to try it with one hand. But when you're lifting this up and you're sliding, I'm just going to flip it over so you can see the 2 grooves here are going around that plate. So when that's lifted up enough, then it's making sure that they catch on the edges to slide it back. It's a little bit tricky, at least for me. If there's an easy way to do it, I haven't discovered it. But so that's how you do that, and just don't be afraid to play with it, that it is going to resist you a little bit, and you just gotta be patient and work at it. Now we're just going to put the top back together. So you want to make sure that this lever is down out of the way. Helps if this is open. We're taking our top, and remember we pushed it over to the left. So you're going to hang it off to the left, but kind of get it to where it's looking like it's fitting. I think I'm a little too far. And then you're going to pop it back to the right. There we go. So now I can see at this end that I'm lined up. When I close it back, I'm lined up again. And then just remember to re-screw it in to hold it in place. And then one last thing, I did just put this plate back on now, and I think the easiest way to do it is actually to do it from the back end, so I'm going to pull it off again. So I did it in, oops, I'm going to break my needle there. Pull that out. So you're going to lift up this plate from the front. Can I get under a little bit? And then pull that back and get it fitted. And it's obviously up a little bit, but you can work it on until it slides back and pops down. And then it'll attach and slide freely. But you really do need two hands with that, which I can't do with a camera. So everything is put back together now. I have my base of my case back on. I have the screw back in the top. My bobbin plate here is back in place. So everything, we are back where we started, except we now have a clean, well-oiled, serviced machine. So this is when you want to re-thread it all and practice with some material that you don't care about, just in case any grease comes through or pulls through on the bobbin thread. So you want to thread it with thread and then use material that you don't care about to work through all of the rest of it. And that should get you well on your way to having a successful career with your sewing machine. I hope that helps. Please leave any questions. This is just what I've done. I've had 2 of these machines now, and this is how I've serviced them, and they've worked fine. But I am not a professional, so if there are any other tips, please do not hesitate to ask questions or to leave them in the comments. Thank you.